All right, so here I am again sharing some information that I hope will be beneficial, because when I was on my journey to kind of starting the period cup, I was googling a lot of how-tos, and some videos were helpful, some videos were not very helpful. So hopefully this video might add to your repertoire of videos that you've been researching in order to start using the menstrual cup. So first and foremost, I think we should talk about anatomy, right? The female anatomy. You have a vagina, and I am no expert, but this is my layman experience of learning my body and what's happening down there. So you have a vagina, you have the hole, which is the front part of the vagina, right? Then you have the canal, and you have the cervix. So first thing, like I said in my last video, is that you really need to know what is the length of your cervix. Is your cervix really deep in, or do you have, like, I think they call it a shallow cervix, so one that is not very deep in, so you can't really put anything really deep in. There's like a limit to where it goes to, so when you go into the limit, that's the cervix wall that you're touching. So for me, I've realized that I have a really deep cervix. So the only thing with that is that the fear of losing the menstrual cup inside, not really losing, but just unable to reach it with your fingers and pull it out, slowly and gently pull it out, it becomes a concern, especially in the beginning. So I think in this journey, you have to really calm down. You have to really take it as a learning experience of understanding how your body works and how comfortable you are with things that are coming out of your body and what is inside your body, and how do you insert, for example, this, and why can you insert this, why should you or why shouldn't you insert other things. Is really important for women to understand their bodies. So I think in my journey, it was more about understanding how my body is functioning down there, and no longer just taking a back seat to kind of helping myself, I guess, better my life by using things like a period cup. So yeah, let's start there. Okay, so I have a deeper cervix, means I have a deep canal, which, like I said, the fear of not being able to extract the cup because it's so deep in, and you feel like your fingers can only go that far, and then you panic, right? That was the first thing that I learned, that some people may need to kind of breathe through the process, and everyone actually needs to breathe through the process and kind of understand the mechanics, and then they'll be able to remove. So the fear is real. I was there just like you, but if you take a moment and you kind of listen to the things that you've learned, either from a professional or on the internet like this, hopefully you'll be able to manage the situation. Okay, let's start with insertion. Okay, when you're going to insert the cup, it doesn't go in full bodied like this because it's too wide for your vagina to kind of take it in. So period cups are used initially. Insertion is by making it smaller. So this is the fold that I use in order to insert the cup, and then supposedly once it's inserted, it's supposed to pop open like that. So it goes in like that, and then it's supposed to pop open, right? So that's what captures the blood, right? The first thing I learned is that when you're going to insert the cup, you should be either in a squatting position or a sitting position, which I do it over the toilet bowl. That's the most convenient for me. So I'm in a sitting position, right? And not knowing my body anatomy, I was trying to put the period cup in like that, thinking that the hole goes upwards. When it's down, it goes up. But unfortunately, that's not how your body works. What I've learned is actually, when you want to insert the cup, you should point the cup in the direction of your bum hole. So actually, it's not like that, it's like that. Yes, this is when you're sitting or when you're squatting. It both works the same. It's just science. It's just understanding your body, and I've learned and I've understood my body. So if you're trying to push it up this way like that, it's not gonna go anywhere. You should be pushing it backwards towards your bum. your bum hole to be specific. If you can just imagine it, like you've folded it and then you've put it in, and then aim for your bum hole as opposed to your throat, and then that's how you slowly guide it into your vagina canal. So that was the first most important thing that I learned, not to push it up, because it's not going to go anywhere if it's up. You feel like you're oh, excuse me, I'm shedding. You'll feel like you're kind of like not able to put it in, because if you're folding it and you're putting it in an upward direction, there's really no insertion possibility that way. So you have to insert it that way towards your bum hole, and then you will see that your canal is actually going this way. You know, if you watch other videos, there's a graphic that you can see to understand why it's actually not up. It's actually, you know, this way to be specific for me. And that is tip number 1, pro tip. Okay, I'm not a pro, but that was really important for me to understand. Okay, number 2 is that the science of how this works and collects the blood in your, when you put it in and it expands. Okay, this is your vaginal wall, right? The science of it collecting the blood without bleeding out is that there's a suction that's created, and it's very tight. So see, when you yank, it's not gonna come out because of the suction that's created, and that stops the blood from leaking around the cup. So it's important that that suction has occurred when you insert the cup, and it is not easy, it's not very clear the first few times you do it when the suction is already, you know, in place. I have struggled, so sometimes when you insert it, it might just open up to that much, and that means it hasn't popped, it hasn't done that, and therefore that might indicate that if this happens, there could be leakage through the cup, and that will go onto your underwear. If you're not wearing a pad, it will go onto your underwear. So we want to avoid that, and one way to avoid that is to, this is all a learning curve, right? So when you insert the period cup correctly and it goes in and it has that pop, you can actually feel a little suction. Well, I can feel a little suction or a little pop that happens inside. And every time that I didn't hear the pop and I thought it must be okay, then there'll be a little bit of leakage. But let me tell you, the leakage is nothing like you imagine. I have heavy flows, and the leakage is nothing like you imagine. It's just some staining that happens, and if you don't wear a pad, it could be concerning. But I do wear like a thick panty liner so that it still gets caught by the panty liner, but it does happen, and I realize it happens every time I doubt whether there's a pop. I should remove it and put it in again. Okay, let's say you put it in, right, like this, and it kind of opens halfway, like it's open a little bit, but it's like kind of stuck like this, you know, so it's stuck like that. What helps is that if you can turn it at the bottom, if you just kind of like put your fingers in and you maneuver it, it will pop open, and that has helped me. But sometimes, or most of the time, I just remove it and try to reinsert it in a way that it would pop open. Just to let you know, you should know that your vaginal wall is really squishy, and it's really like it's really malleable, your vaginal wall. So it's not like a pipe. It's not like a pipe. So actually, when your cup is inside you, it may actually look like this, or like this, you know. It doesn't look like a round like that. And if you understand that, maybe it'll help with the maneuvering of the period cup once it's inside you. Okay, so so that's a tip that I could say. It's not easy, guys, to kind of, you know, be comfortable with putting your fingers inside there, inserting it. You know, maybe you should try in this whole process. What you could do is you could try, you know, using your finger and kind of exploring the vagina hole, and, you know, seeing how it feels, and, you know, how deep it can go, and you know, whether it hurts if you push against the wall, it shouldn't hurt. You know, how flexible it is. Are you able to kind of put two fingers in and push it apart? These are things that you should do in kind of in your journey of learning how to use a period cup. It's really learning about your own anatomy and understanding yourself and being comfortable with yourself. You should know these things about you. You should be comfortable with, you know, having things that are good for you, good for your lifestyle, and good for your daily activities. You know, if they can benefit you, you should be comfortable with kind of understanding yourself so you could benefit from something like this. Okay, yeah, so you could watch other more detailed videos about how to get it to pop, but generally, like I said, it's a science, and you know, you should be able to feel it like pop a little bit inside. Like you can feel like almost like a suction, small tiny suction, and then you know that it's in place. And if not, if you feel the bottom of this thing that's, you know, probably like near your vagina, like near the opening of your vagina, if you feel it, you could turn it, you could twist it until you realize that you feel it all the way in, and you can feel that it's opened and it's no longer collapsed like that. You know, when you feel it, when you put your fingers inside yourself and you feel it, then you can feel like, oh, this is still collapsed. So you wanna, I do this with long fingernails, so you can imagine that it should not be painful. You can learn. So there are instances where you might, instead of pressing the cup, you might be clipping a little bit of your, you know, your vagina canal, and then you'll feel it. Then you stop, and then you re-maneuver your fingers to feel the cup and pinch the cup only. Why would you need to pinch the cup? Okay, so once it is intact and in place and it's collecting blood and all the blood's inside, right? In order to release it, you would need to release the suction, and the only way to release the suction is if you create some space, the vacuum is broken, and then you can maneuver the cup out. Okay, so let me show you how that is done. Okay, so currently it's in place, it's intact like that, full suction. When this is in place, you cannot yank it out. There's no way you can yank it out. You shouldn't do it. It can be painful, it can be uncomfortable. When you panic, please don't yank it out. Take a minute. It's okay that it's gonna be there for 12 hours. It's all right. But you know, how it's meant to be done is that the science is that you need to break the vacuum. You need to break the vacuum that is, you know, kind of like suctioning all of this. You need to break the vacuum, and the only way to do that is to go as high. When you put your fingers in, go as high as you can, follow the grooves of the period cup, and then push it down. Even the smallest vacuum, you have to use a little bit of force. Push it down. Don't be afraid of the blood flowing out. Like I said, the blood is you. The blood is, you know, you should not be disgusted by this, because it is part of you. And I mean, it can be a little bit gross, I do admit, but this is the part of learning about yourself. If you're really disgusted by this, then it's going to be very difficult for you to kind of learn this process. So breathe through it, try and break that seal. Once that seal is broken, you can slowly maneuver it out by wiggling it out. Okay, so that is the science to it. It is difficult. Oh, hi, Baba. It is not easy, slightly difficult. It's a learning curve to understand that you can put your fingers into your vagina, follow this all the way up. You could go all the way up even till the cap. It's just how much you are willing to put your fingers into your vagina to reach this cup, and then you can collapse it. So if you could do that and collapse it and then slowly wiggle it out, you'll be able to get it out. So it's not that it's stuck. It's not that it's stuck. It's just that it takes time and courage and bravery to put your fingers into your vagina, to understand the concept of this, and to deal with the blood, and then to, from there, remove it. Hi. Had to do that, right? So this is what I think is important to know when it comes to removing the period cup. Like I said, do not yank on it. It's not going to come out if the suction is correct, is intact. It's really not going to come out. The science is to break the seal that, when I say the seal, I mean the vacuum seal, by either just pressing on this as you put your fingers in, find the stem, find the cup, press it quite hard. Like I said, the blood might flow, the blood might not come out. You don't know how full the cup is. And then once the seal is broken, you maneuver it out. Yeah, so slowly it will come out. If you can't break the seal at this point, what I've done in the past is you have to kind of maneuver all the way to the top, break that seal by pushing with your finger. This is all happening inside you, so just to let you know, you're only using one hand. This is just sample, right? Break the seal, and then you'll be able to pull it out. So you should be comfortable with putting at least 3 fingers in. You can use 2 when you're a professional, but 3 fingers I think is the start. You can put 3 fingers inside you, and this is part of the process of using the menstrual cup. So once it's out, so put your fingers in, is what I do. Break the seal, usually it like folds like that, that's how, and then I wiggle it out. So once it's out, usually sometimes in that process some blood has spilled, but because it's underneath me and it's in the toilet bowl, it spills into the toilet bowl. It might spill on my hand, it might spill on my hand, but it's okay. I've become comfortable with my period blood because this is such a game changer. I've learned to become comfortable, and I've learned to just, accept it. It is part of me, and it happens every month. I need to deal with it. This is God sent, so I want to kind of go through this, right? So okay, in dealing with the blood, period does have a smell, but it's nothing close to the smell that you face when you're using a pad. It is nothing close. It does smell like bloody, and it does smell like something that's coming out of your body. So, but you're not going to put it to your face, so don't worry, it's way down there, right? You're managing it all down there. So just tip the cup into the bowl, pour it all out. What I do is I take the bidet, if you're lucky enough to have a bidet, take the bidet, rinse it off inside the bowl, just rinse it, make sure it's really clean, well rinsed. There might be other stuff that's your vaginal lubrication that happens. It might be, you might find some of that in this area. Just wash it off cleanly, fold it back, and put it back in, and you're off to go. So that is how I do my period cup process every month. I've been waiting to do this video. It gets easier. It is not a piece of cake. It takes time, but it is so worth the effort. It is so worth the commitment, for the first month especially, and then following that you'll see how life-changing it is, and you'll be motivated to do it. But yeah, that is my take on how you can do this, how you can survive through it. It's worth trying, worth kind of checking in with yourself and knowing your body, and knowing how comfortable you are, how uncomfortable you are in kind of discovering something new about you, and convenience, or I don't know, invention. That's all for now, I guess. I hope you've enjoyed, and if you have any questions, you can leave it in the comments, and maybe I'll make another video if it was helpful. Okay, bye.